Hello my dear students, how are you all? I hope you all are good. Before going to start my today's topic, I like to discuss some important points that I were left in a previous topic, that is the unit of electric charge. So we already have an idea that the SI unit of electric charge is coulomb, and here we are going to define what is meant by 1 coulomb of charge. So already we know that from the properties of charge, that is from quantization of charge, we have an idea that how much electrons constitute 1 coulomb of charge. We have an idea about that. But now we are going to define what is meant by 1 coulomb of charge. And from Coulomb's law we can able to define that. So let us consider two charges Q1 and Q2, each of magnitude 1 coulomb. And suppose they are separated by distance of 1 meter in free space. Okay. Now the electrostatic force between these two charges from Coulomb's law, we can say F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi x power naught Q1 Q2 by R square. So here the value of 1 divided by 4 pi x power naught, it approximate equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9. And as we are taking the two charges, each of magnitude 1 coulomb, here the value of Q1 into Q2 is 1 into 1. And as the two charges are separated by 1 meter in free space, therefore here R we are taking 1. And after substituting the value 1 divided by 1 square, it is found that F is equal to 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton. Now how we can define the 1 coulomb of charge? So we can define the 1 coulomb of charge as 1 coulomb is a charge which repels another identical charge with a force of 9 into 10 to the power 9 when they are placed 1 meter apart in free space. So in this way we can define the 1 coulomb of charge, that is SI unit of electric charge we can able to define in this way. So it is very clear that suppose if two charges separated by 1 meter in free space and having the magnitude 1 coulomb each, if these two charges are having a force of 9 into 10 to the power 9 Newton between them, then the magnitude of each charge is said to be 1 coulomb. So in this way we can define what is meant by 1 coulomb of charge. And the next point I like to discuss here is limitations of Coulomb's law. So let us discuss some limitations of Coulomb's law. So these are three limitations of Coulomb's law. Here the first limitation of the Coulomb's law is Coulomb's law is only applicable for stationary point charges. Okay. So even though you consider a sphere having so many number of charges on the surface, if that sphere, if you observe from the larger distance, again it looks like a point charge. So that is the limitations. Even though if you consider a sphere, we have to consider a sphere as a point charge for a larger distance. So Coulomb's law is only applicable for stationary point charges. And the second limitations of the Coulomb's law is the Coulomb's law is only applicable at the distance greater than 10 to the power minus 15 meter, as this is the dimension of an atom. So Coulomb's law is only applicable for the distance greater than this. So this is the limitations of Coulomb's law. And the third limitations of Coulomb's law goes like, the Coulomb's law is not applicable for moving charges. If you consider the charges in motion, you are not able to apply the Coulomb's law. Why? Because the moving charges produces the magnetic field also. Means one more force arises there, that is a magnetic force. Therefore we not apply the Coulomb's law there. So these are some important points I like to discuss in today's video that I were left in a previous topic. So now let us move towards the today's topic, that is force between multiple charges. So as we know, the force between two stationary point charges you can calculate it by using the Coulomb's law as F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi x naught Q1 Q2 by R square. what if the system consists of so many number of charges? To calculate the force between multiple charges, we have to use the superposition principle. And what the superposition principle exactly states that? Let us understand this. So the superposition principle states that the force between any one charge due to so many number of charges is equal to vector sum of force on one charge due to individual charges, taking one at a time. Okay, so in this way we can calculate the force between multiple charges. So to understand this superposition principle, let us consider a system consists of three charges, Q1, Q2 and Q3. Now the force between Q1 and Q2 from Coulomb's law, we can understand that it is F12, means the force on Q1 because of the charge Q2 is F12, and which is away from that charge, which is in that direction. So if you consider all the three charges of same magnitude, means the same polarity, if all the three charges are positive, then the force is repulsion. So the force on Q1 due to Q2 is F12. Similarly, the force on Q1 due to Q3 is F13, which is again away from that. Now we have two vectors, F12 and F13, and the resultant of these two vectors is F. Okay, so that is the resultant force on Q1 because of the charge Q2 and Q3. Now according to this superposition principle, the resultant force F is calculated as F is equal to F12 plus F13. That is, the total force on Q1 is equal to sum of the force due to Q2 and due to Q3. In this way we can calculate. And similarly, if you assume a system consists of n number of charges, then this equation becomes, the resultant force on Q1 becomes F is equal to F12 plus F13 plus F14 up to F1 into n for n number of charges. Okay, and as we substitute their values here, individual forces values, then it is found that F is equal to, what is F12? Force between charge Q1 and Q2, which is given by 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by R12 square into R12 cap. It is in vector form. Plus, now what is the next? F13. That is a force on 1 due to the charge 3. Now it is given by 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q3 by R13 square into R13 cap. Similarly, for n number of charges, it is given as 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Qn divided by R1n square into R1n cap. Okay, for n number of charges. Now, what common we will take from this? The common is Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught comes common. Now what is the resultant force becomes? It is F is equal to Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, and remaining terms up to n get summed. Now it is summation over Qi divided by R1I square into 1I cap. Now what does that mean? What is Qi? Qi is any ith charge in the system. So system consists of n number of charges. Now the common term will take Q1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, and remaining terms get sum up to ith element. Means if the system consists of Q1 charge to Qn charge, then the summation will take up to any ith charge in the medium, any intermediate charge ith charge you can say. So it is sum over ith charge in the system. So guys, in this way, by using superposition principle, we can able to calculate the force between multiple charges. So I hope you understand the superposition principle. And now guys, let us move towards the next topic, that is, what is electric field? Okay. Now let us understand what is meant by electric field. So to understand this, let us consider a charge plus Q. Okay, it is a positive charge, and now bring another charge near to it. Now we know that between these two charges there exists a force. And guys, we have an idea what is charge. Charge is an intrinsic property of the material because of which electrical forces are produced. When you bring another charge close to this charge, that charge experiences the force. Suppose both charges are positive, that charge experiences the repulsion force, so it moves away from that. Again you bring that charge close to this, again it moves away. Now directly I will come to the point, what is electric field? So electric field is a region surrounding a charge in which another charge if you bring, it experiences the force. Okay? So electric field is a region surrounding a charge in which another charge experiences the force. And see here, we have to understand whatever the charge I am considering, the plus capital Q is called as a source charge. Let us call it as a source charge. Why like this? Why it is called as a source charge? See, we have to understand the electric field produced by this charge. So it becomes a source charge. We are calculating the electric field of this charge, therefore it becomes a source charge. And how we can understanding the electric field of this charge? By bringing that another charge inside that electric field. And that charge is called as a test charge. It is a unit positive charge, or also called as a test charge. To understand the field of this capital Q charge, we are bringing a test charge. And what is meant by test charge? It is a charge of having a smallest value. Okay? You know, it is a hypothetical concept basically. The charge having a very smallest value. And we know that the smallest value present in the nature, that is the charge of the smallest value is 1.6 in 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb, charge of electron. And it is assumed that the test charge have a very smallest value. And you know why like this we are assuming? Because it is clear that that charge doesn't make any effect on this charge. Means that charge only experiences the force due to this charge, but this charge doesn't experience any force due to that charge. Means test charge is a charge whose magnitude is almost equal to 0 or very small, we can say. Okay? So to understand the electric field of this charge, we are bringing a test charge inside the field so that you can understand how much electric field this charge is produced. So now we have a clear idea that what is electric field. So electric field is force per unit charge. So here the unit charge or a test charge is I am taking as a Q naught. Okay. So electric field is force per unit charge. In this way we can define the electric field. Okay. Now let us understand what is meant by electric field strength, or also called as electric field intensity. Let us understand this. Now to calculate the electric field strength or electric field intensity at any point inside the electric field of this positive charge, this source charge. Okay. For that let us understand, consider a source charge, a plus Q charge. Okay. And let us consider any point P inside the electric field of this charge which is at a distance r from that. And now to understand the electric field intensity at a point P, we have to bring a unit positive charge and we have to place at that point. Okay. To understand the electric field of this capital Q charge, this is the source charge. To understand the electric field strength of this charge at a point P inside the electric field, we have to bring a test charge and we have to place there. Let us assume we are bringing a test positive charge and placing at a point P. Now we know that the electric field at any point inside the electric field is nothing but it is the force experienced by a unit positive charge at that point. Now the force between these two charges, that is when you bring the unit positive charge and place at a point P, now there exists a force between these two charges. That is the force between capital Q and Q naught. From Coulomb's law, the force between these two charges is F is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, capital Q, Q naught divided by R is the distance, so it is R square. And we know that what is electric field at a point P? It is force experienced by unit positive charge. That is force per unit positive charge. Now substitute the value of F there. E is equal to F divided by Q naught. Now substitute the value of F, that is 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught, capital Q, small q naught divided by R square, whole divided by Q naught. Now here the Q naught get cancelled, and now we have a formula to calculate the electric field strength or electric field intensity at a point P inside the electric field. That is E is equal to 1 divided by 4 pi epsilon naught Q divided by R square. So this is the electric field strength at a point P inside the electric field due to the source charge. Is that clear, guys? So this is the electric field. Now if you see, this is the electric field at a point due to only single charge. So this is the electric field at any point due to a point charge, a single charge. Now what if the system consists of n number of charges? Again, to calculate the resultant electric field at any point in the system due to n number of charges, again we have to use superposition principle. So consider a system of n number of charges and consider any point P inside that system, and the resultant electric field at that point P due to n number of charges is again calculated as the electric field at a point P due to n number of charges is again a vector sum of electric field at a point P due to individual charges. That is the total electric field at a point P, that is E is equal to E1, that is E1. What is E1? E1 is electric field at a point P due to a charge Q1, and plus E2. What is E2? Electric field at a point P due to the charge Q2, plus E3. What is E3? Again it is an electric field at a point P due to the charge Q3. And similarly it goes up to En. So what is En? Electric field at a point P due to the nth charge in the system. So again in this way we can able to calculate the resultant force in the system by using superposition principle. So I hope you understand all the concepts. Okay. So next we'll see what is the electric field lines, what are the electric field lines and properties of electric lines of forces. We'll see in the next topic. Okay. Thank you.